All right, let me get to it. So my clinical experience was at the Empower Me Center. I left clinicals every day feeling very full. They are doing very much so work full of purpose there, and it's intentional. So what I will want to say is we did not have an occupational therapist or even a CODA to shadow directly. We met the OT, but it was on the last day of clinicals, and her name is basically just there for, I guess, a multiple reasons, but we were not able to actually shadow an OT or a CODA, so these responses are just from us being CODA students and being able to witness and decipher what was intervention and what wasn't. These are adults that are cognitively delayed. 90% of them all were autistic. They all had been diagnosed with autism. So cognitively, they are adults of a wide range of 18 and above, but cognitively, these people are 9, 12, 16, 6 years old cognitively. So let me dive into the questions. Reflect on a specific instance during your clinical experience where you used task analysis to support a client. What steps did you take to analyze the task, and how did you apply critical thinking to adapt or modify the environment for the client's success? So as I mentioned, we did not work directly under OTs, but we were able just to dive in and interact with the clients and the individuals there. So to answer this question, I'll say we had them doing an activity. So the week was Community Helpers Week. This activity specifically was geared towards firefighters. So we had one of the staff there had crafted a paper volcano. And the concept of it was to place little miniature bears. They were very small, so it would require a lot of fine motor movements to pick them up, grasp them, hold them, to pick them up out of the fire, the volcano. It was a volcano that was crafted, and we had the color cups to coordinate with the color bears. So for this activity, the individuals had to pick up the bears and place them in the color coordinated cups. However, we integrated essentially like somewhat of a tongue, but it was able to hold the bears. So we had the individuals there do that activity, and it was very, very good. So the CODA students, well, the CODA and me, what I was focusing on was hand and eye coordination, even bilateral integration. Some of them even thought as much to maybe pick a bear up in one hand and put it in your other hand that's holding the tongs. So I was able to witness, like I was trying to explain, some sense of intervention. So for that question, that's an example there, how having the individuals sit and focus on grabbing the bears, using the tongs, putting the bears in the color coordinated cups. And some of them that's a little difficult for them to do. Some of them have tremors, which would affect their not their ability, but it would affect the level of, what am I trying to say? It would affect how easily it would be for them to complete the task if they did not have tremors. So that would be my answer to that question. Analyzing the task by incorporating the tongs, and watching your client, being present and paying attention to their movements and how they're processing things. Next question. Let's see here. During your clinical placement, describe a situation where you had to adapt tools or materials for a client. How did you ensure the adaptations met the client's needs while maintaining safety and functionality? So safety was not an issue. The example that I'm about to give, safety was not an issue. We were in the room that everyone kind of hangs out in throughout the day. There was nothing that could cause harm to myself or this individual. Her name was Emma. Emma was the sweetest little person I have come across in a very long time. She was actually one of the individuals that did have really bad tremors. She also used a rollator to help her ambulate. And every day they had the people in the program write down what they had the most fun doing that day. So this morning when Emma got in, she wanted to rewrite her note from the day before because of her tremors. Her words are not legible. So I kind of, walked over. Hey, Emma, what's going on? What are you doing? And she explained to me that she was trying to rewrite her book list and that she couldn't read it. So what I did to adapt, I asked her if it were okay if I drew a line on her paper. So I made brackets essentially on her paper because I wanted her to focus on writing her words within this certain space and then moving to the next block to write her next word. So there's a space there that she can incorporate in her sentences so she's able to read it. And I thought that was really cool because it actually worked. And she was super excited about it. So after I placed the line on her paper and I was like, okay, Emma, so this time let's try to write. She was writing book titles to books that she wanted to look for when she went to a used bookstore. So I was like, okay, so this time let's rewrite it, but let's do one word at a time and let's pay attention to when we're writing our next word to make sure that we're within the bracket. So that would be my adaptation there for that question. Next question. Think about a client you worked with who faced challenges in their home, work, or community environment. What changes did you recommend or implement to enable their participation in meaningful occupations, and what safety considerations did you prioritize? Okay. There was one individual, his name was Austin, and Austin was young. I believe he was 19, 20. He was autistic. I believe he had, I don't think Austin had depression. I didn't want to write it down. Just trying to think off of the top of my mind, what I saw on the chart. But Austin was a very, very special case. His autism was very severe. He had random outbursts. Austin would take off running, and he's fast. So there was an instance where once at clinicals, we were outside and Yariana and I were walking outside to meet up with the rest of the staff and the individuals that were there in the program. And as soon as we hit the corner, Austin in particular is flying as fast as he can, running towards the front of the church. And there's another staff member running behind him. And in that moment, all I could think about was his safety. So to answer this question, of course, Yariana and I, there was really not much that we can do, but the questions I had following. So for safety measures, I mean, of course, you don't want to hurt him, but God forbid, what if there were traffic at the top of the church? Like, isn't that like a tackle moment or grab, like whatever you can to stop this person from causing harm to themselves? And what I asked was, I made it clear that I said, I definitely don't want to come off as, being animalistic. But when you all go out into the community and you have Austin with him, is there not a way that we could or that you all could maybe incorporate, like, for the lack of a better word, like a safety leash or a safety net or something that is always attached to him and a person when you're out in public? And that just opened dialogue. It was received and it was discussed. And then it's like, okay, but would you really want that on somebody who is that sporadic and can take off that fast and is that strong? So I personally could not implement any changes regarding the environment or safety, but this question makes me think about Austin because they even shared that his grandmother, it's so bad that his grandmother has changed all the locks in her home to like a fingerprint lock. just so he does not get out of the house, and she sleeps on the floor in front of his door. And then that just puts you in a mentality of, my God, like what kind of life, like the level of stress that you can only imagine someone has to endure when you are caring for someone that has those diagnoses. Man, now I'm thinking about them again. But so that would be what I could conjure up for a response for that question, because again, we really didn't have like OT CODA interactions. Let's see. Share an experience where you observed how psychosocial factors such as motivation, anxiety, or self-confidence influence the client's performance. How did you address these psychosocial factors to support the client's engagement in therapy? So there was this one individual named Chase. Chase was autistic, very functional though, on the more functional end of the spectrum. And every day Chase came in, he grabbed a black caterpillar and a rainbow caterpillar, and he would hold one in both hands all day long. And Chase loves to sing. So the staff even gave an example of how Chase was at some concert, some famous person's concert, and got on stage. The artist welcomed it. But Chase got on stage, took the man's microphone, and like stole the show. That's how fearless this guy is, right? So when I noticed, when he first started singing and I'm just observing, he's singing, but he's also looking back. And, I'm new to it, so I'm just trying to peep it out. And I'm like, okay, is he looking for reassurance? Is he looking for social interaction? So when he's singing, I start cheering him on. Woohoo, go Chase. You sound great. Go Chase. And he loved the reassurance. He loved the social interaction. And for me, for this question, it almost makes me think of the MOHO frame of reference, the motivational part, the motivational aspect of it. Because that was intervention for him. I mean, he is expressing himself. It's emotional regulation. So what I did to address it was I motivated it. I supported it. I was there with him. And it worked well for him. He received that. He responded well to that. He's fearless. Next question. Reflect on a time when the client's psychosocial challenges affected their participation in a specific setting. What strategies did you or your supervising therapist use to enhance the client's psychosocial engagement or improve their performance? Okay. So I jotted down 2 things for this question for bullet points. So there's 2 individuals. Chase is actually another one, the guy that I just talked about. There's another sweetheart named Landon. Landon is autistic, also nonverbal. And I noticed that every day they're very much in a routine, very much in a systematic routine almost. And Landon comes in, he has 2 tablets every day. He carries a tie around, and he wears noise canceling headphones sometimes. But Landon comes in, he'll go to the cabinet and he'll grab a box that has they're color coordinated, and it's like little pegs that you put in holes. And there's another box that has like sand, beans, and like little seashells in it for like sensory stimulation. So I watch Landon, and he sits there all day, and he watches the Ninja Turtles, but he does not get past 1 30-minute show because he's memorized where play, fast forward, and rewind are on his tablet. So all day he sits there and he presses those buttons, and he won't even look at the tablet. He'll press the buttons while he's looking around, while simultaneously he's either using the color-coded pegs or he's playing with the sensory box. So I walk over to him, and to try to take him away from the tablet, I grabbed the sensory box and I asked him to put his hand in it, and he did. He responded, he puts his hand in it, and I put my hand in as well. Then he puts his other hand on top of my hand. So getting him, again, to that social interaction with me, to get him out of habit of just being in this tablet and almost self-soothing in a sense, because he'll just sit there and stay to himself all day long, and he's non-verbal. And when you respond to him, if you ask him a question, because he is non-verbal, he has certain cues that he uses to communicate. So I noticed that if you ask a question and the answer could be yes or no, if it's yes, he'll just open his mouth really wide and then close it. I couldn't determine what no was, because I don't know. I'm not sure if I got a no to a question that I asked, but I guess for the psychosocial aspect, you wonder, in a sense, because Landon is autistic, if he even thinks, like, about the psychosocial factor, if that matters, if he does have one-on-one social interaction with someone or not. And for Chase, the example I wrote down for Chase was, there's another young lady, their name's Savannah, who is autistic. She's on the lower functioning end, and she carries around an Elmo. And Chase asked if he could see her Elmo, and Savannah told him no. And Chase could not process the fact that he couldn't have her Elmo because he asked. And what I thought was super, super cool, they made 5 rules for Chase, and he memorized them. And the rules are, if I can remember them correctly, one of them is to be nice to myself and others, mind my business, use nice words, personal space, and I can't think of the fifth one. But they use those 5 rules to, they use those to, what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm wasting time thinking about it. It'll come to me as soon as I finish this video, watch. But they use the 5 rules kind of to bring Chase back, get him back on track. They reiterate it. It's this is driving me crazy. What's the word? Okay, I can't think of it. But they use the 5 steps, the 5 rules, to make sure that he stays aligned, to bring him back to surface. And the Elmo situation, that's when the 5 rules came in handy, because he was able to, not right then in the moment, but because of those 5 rules, they were able to reiterate those 5 rules and refer to them for him to be able to understand why if she said no, that's okay. That's her business. You have to mind your business. That's her business. She doesn't want you to have her Elmo, so she doesn't have to let you see it. Let's see. Describe a clinical case where you combine task analysis, environmental adaptations, and understanding psychosocial engagement to develop comprehensive intervention. What was the outcome? Okay, so for this question, I wanted to refer to the agility course. And we did this on Thursday. Thursday was the day that we had the most participants there at Empower Me. Yes, they all have their own diagnosis. They all have a variety of symptoms, and they're all different, and they're all special in their own very way. I mean, they are the sweetest people on this planet. They're literally angels, all of them. But on Thursday, we made an agility course. And on the agility course, we did consider the environment. So the clinical location was at a church. So we were using like the warehouse in the church. It was very spacious. And everybody that participated in the agility course physically were able to do so. But so considering the environment, how we adapted it was, we used tape to make a ladder on the floor for them to climb a ladder. It was like for a firefighter. So they climbed a ladder. And then they had to go under or through the fire, where we took 2 tables and used yarn, red and orange yarn, to create a fire for them to crawl under. They had to step on a few pads, go around 2 or 3 chairs, and do a beanbag toss to knock down fire cups that we made. And when they finished the course, they all got a fireman hat. So they were all firefighters. They all passed the agility course. And I thought that entire experience was awesome. I mean, the social interaction, the social participation, the interventions there. I mean, every day it was play, 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 play. So it kind of ended up connecting the dots as to why they refer to them as kids and children. Because as I mentioned before, occupation for a child is play. And that is exactly what they do at Empower Me. It's not recreational. So that is all they do every day. All day is play, and within that play, they are able to incorporate activities that work on certain skills that will help benefit them on a daily basis. That's all my questions. Let me make sure I've answered them thoroughly. Yeah. That's it. But I love Empower Me. That they are phenomenal. They have a beautiful program going on. And as I said before, it was very fulfilling, very meaningful, and thank you.